Now underneath the engine cover, just pop this off, just slide up, and then slide it off. Now you want to bleed the fuel pressure off the system. So on the fuel rail right here, there's a little cap. Take this cap off. You can just take a rag and just wrap it around and just lightly touch a straight blade screwdriver just to the Schrader valve. And a little bit of fuel will come out. The longer the vehicle sits, the less fuel that's going to come out. And that's good. So the pressure is bled off there. Just disconnect the battery. Use a 10mm socket. Just loosen this up. And disconnect the negative side. And just slide it out of the way. Now we want to disconnect the filler neck hose from the tank. Use a straight blade screwdriver. Loosen up this worm clamp. Just twist this a little bit. It might be easier once we drop the tank down a little bit to try to disconnect this. So that's loose for now though. And disconnect this hose right here. Just push down. You just squeeze the two sides. Be able to wiggle it out, disconnect it like that. Now disconnect these two hoses on the evap canister. You can try just squeezing right there and then popping them off. Sometimes it's easier just to use a screwdriver or a pick. Loosen up the lock part of it and slide it off. And the next one, there is a lock on it where underneath you just push up. Or again, you can use a pick. Push that retainer up. Then the hose should slide off. If you have to, push it up a little more. There we go. There's a hose right here you can disconnect. Again, same retainers. Slide up on that lock and then slide this out. There you go. And that's just a vapor line. There shouldn't be any fuel in there. Then there's another line that goes over here that you're gonna have to do it kind of blindly. You're not gonna be able to see this. So you're gonna have to reach up here and you can put your hand up there on one side. And it's the same type of clip. If you push underneath the two little ears, get those up. And keep in mind, when you take this one off, you are gonna have some fuel. So you might wanna put a drain bucket underneath. Probably be a good idea to wear some safety glasses and gloves. Just try to slide the line off. And because we bled off the system, I didn't really get that much fuel out, which is good. You're gonna need something to support the fuel tank. A fuel tank support jack is helpful. But if you're on the ground, you might be able to use some type of transmission jack. That would work as well. Take a 15mm socket and loosen up the nut right here. And take that nut off. Double check that nut, see if that was a 14. I think this was actually a 14, not a 15. And then slide this off. Slide up there and the strap comes off. And on the strap in the back, use a 15mm socket. Take this bolt off. You should really do this by hand, don't just use a gun, because there's a J nut up there that a lot of times it breaks if you use an impact on it. So just do it by hand. Take that bolt out, and then this strap comes off the same as the other one. And just slide it out. Now we can lower the tank down slightly. As you lower it, make sure you take the filler neck off. Just try to loosen this up a little bit. Just a right angle pick would work. Slide that off. You just want to slide the tank back. It helps if there's not a lot of fuel in it. There is a line that goes over this back cross member. You're going to have to take that line off. It's kind of hard to access. And slide the hose off just like that. All right, you may have to angle it in the back. Get it past. It's going to help if there's not a lot of fuel in it. Let's get it past the differential, and you can pull it back some more. And once you get to this part, you can disconnect the electrical. Just push down on the connectors, slide that out. There's a little lock terminal on this connector. There we go. So they just drop it down now. Now we can pop these fuel lines off. You want to take a blowgun or an air gun and just blow off any of the dust or dirt in this area. You don't want any of that getting into the tank, or as little as possible. But if you slide this clip up and then just slide this off, just like that, get that out of the way. And then this one has the fuel in it. You might get a little bit of fuel come out, just a little bit. Just use a rag. And it's important you either use a special locking tool that you can unlock this, this hold down, or you can use a brass punch because you're not going to get sparks with a brass punch. And just unlock this. Just go around, give it a couple taps. Slide the lock off. If it's in bad shape, you want to replace it. This one's not too bad. And just grab the pump. And slide up. And then there's a connection right here. You're gonna have to disconnect that. Just push down. Slide that off. We're going to have to push that underneath there for now. And just slowly bring this up. There's going to be fuel in there. Just try to drain it back into the tank the best you can. The new fuel pump, you're going to have to add the level sensor. Just slide it in position like this. well, the level sensor float. Just make sure it locks down in place, just like that. This retainer right here, we're gonna have to transfer that over to the new one. Just slide that like that. Pops off, and just slide it on the new pump, just like that. Just make sure you clean up this area right here. Make sure there's no dirt or anything in there. That's nice and clean. Put the gasket down. And take the pump, and we'll slide it in position. Just like this. And we're gonna need to hook that hose up. So you're gonna have to reach in, line that up, and lock it in, just like that. Make sure the gasket's repositioned properly. And this little ear is going to go right here. Just make sure the lines line up right there. Slide that down. Grab the lock ring. And then use your tool, if you have the tool, or just a brass punch. And just tap it back in place. It just twists. Now reconnect the lines, just slide that on, lock it down, and same with this line. Lock it down, make sure they're nice and tight, that's good. Now we're gonna angle the tank and reinstall it the same way it came out. Now at some point, if you can reach the electrical connectors, you wanna plug those in. And lock them down. And once it gets a little higher, you're gonna have to raise this hose over that cross member. And once you go up a little more, you can connect it, plug it in where it goes. And I'll just connect that right now. Lock it down, line up the filler neck before you get it too far up. That's lined up, now I can raise it all the way. Now I'll just tighten this down while I'm here. Just tighten that worm clamp down, good and snug. Not too tight because it is plastic that you're tightening down to. But just make sure it doesn't, make sure it's not loose. A little tighter. Now connect the hoses. This little vent hose. Lock that down. Then the hoses that go to the canister. Slide it on, lock it down, and clip this one in. That's locked down. Now reattach this front one. It's kind of hard to see, you just kind of got to do it blindly and lock it down. And then this one as well. Let's see, so you got to push this on. And once it's all the way down, then lock that down, just like the other ones. Now put the fuel tank straps on. You can put them both on and put the bolts back in. And tighten them down. Now I can lower the support. And you can put the cap back on if you left it off on the fuel rail. Put this engine cover back on. Just line it up and push it down. And connect the negative terminal on the battery. Tighten down the nut. Just snug, and then just wiggle it, make sure it's nice and tight. When you go to start the vehicle, turn the key on, cycle it once, turn it off, and then cycle it again, and then you should be able to start the vehicle. That's just going to prime the fuel system. If it takes a little bit longer to start the first time, that's okay. That's just the fuel getting to the engine.